Hey everyone, this is Boyo and the Beard. My name is Boyo. This is the Beard. Brian, how you feeling tonight?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Pretty stoked. First episode, and just two mates trying to talk about throw bants in regards to the NFL. I think over the past two seasons, I've really picked up into it. I know Brian, you've been in for quite some time. So,
Oh yeah.
how you feeling about the Chiefs? It looks like Kelsey's the go-to that you're rocking today.
Oh yeah. Um, Feeling good, man. We had to struggle early on in life with being terrible, and you had those good years with Trent Green and Tony G and Priest Holmes, and other than that, it was Brody Coyle,
Elvis Gerbach.
Elvis Gerbach, Tyler Thigpen. You're struggling.
Yeah.
Matt Castle, he was
Uh,
gonna potentially get you wins, but at the same time, is that guy gonna get you to the Super Bowl? No. Same with Alex Smith. And we finally pulled the trigger on Mahomes. And last five
yeah,
years have been all you could ask for as a fan of the NFL team.
yeah. Mahomes is quite the magician here. So obviously Chiefs. I'm rocking Pacheco tonight. He's easily my favorite player.
Oh yeah,
I he's just so much fun to watch. Runs with so much anger, just like he's kind of angry at the ground. Bounces back up and is ready to go. Um,
reminds me of Waterboy with Adam Sandler, except on offense, just letting it
he's
all
ready to
out
roll.
and running as hard as he can.
Yeah, he lets you know. Well, I think in general, as Chiefs fans do, we gotta celebrate the good when it comes around, because it did take effect 50 years previously.
Yeah.
What are we in regards to
Say I'm
season?
32. We've been good for 5 years, and the other 27 have been terrible. So
I mean, not terrible, but I mean they're
not a
not
lot of playoff wins.
not a lot of playoff ones. That's fair.
No. Looking at your squad, you're not really thinking, "No, this is the team that's going to do it." So, last
Yeah,
5 years has been more than I could have ever asked for. I would have been fine with one, or at least make an AFC Championship game, being a part of the conversation year in and year out. And last 5 6 years, it's been
the AFC
who's
Invitational.
who's taking us out.
Yeah. So, I think to start the season, preseason, how you feeling?
Upcoming or
Previous
previous
preseason.
one?
Yeah. Let's
Um,
recap the last year.
well, you got the obviously the Tyreek Hill going. Everyone, when I say everyone, I don't mean everyone, but it's like Travis and Chiefs all said after winning the Super Bowl, they all doubted us, and it was you're not going to be anything without Tyreek Hill, and even a couple players saying this is going to expose some people, and I think that was more so directed at Mahomes not having a guy he can just
Sling it
lead,
too.
sling it to, and lead him by 5 yards, and he'll run onto it and catch it no matter what. Um, Besides Tyreek, that was really the only big, in my eyes, the only really big loss that we had. Um,
Yeah. I mean, you
uh,
you lost out on Honey Badger. I think he did play a decent bit of a role in the locker room, maybe.
yeah, he was a huge leader, but you got younger, got Justin Reed. I feel like Justin Reed was top five player at his position. Maybe not stats wise, but if you look, another great leader and
Yeah.
provided a lot. And if you look at some of his stats, they were saying he's probably top five cover corner or top five cover safety. Uh, his catch rate or catch percentage against him was not very good for other people trying to catch the ball on him. So
Yeah, and even kind of got things hyped up a little bit after Butker went down in the first game.
yeah,
Uh, Booten one, just blistering that ball
yeah,
out the back. First game 44-21 on Arizona. Uh, Arizona kind of had some hype, missing D Hop obviously, but
yeah.
kind of I mean there was nothing really to that game.
It's kind of a show what's to come, I guess. Obviously, new receivers. You got Watson, Juju, and MVS. That's three new guys you got to implement and find the right place for because they're each have their own skill set. Juju's more of a slot guy that can run intermediate routes. MVS is kind of the blow the top off guy, but I think he ran more routes that were not what he's used to. And I feel like in Green Bay, it was him just doing verticals left and right and not really doing distinct routes. But I feel like when he came here, we kind of said, hey, yeah, you're going to be doing some verts every now and then, but we want to make you a better complete receiver. And here's what we were looking for you. So,
Yeah, definitely got to disguise it a little bit if you're going to be on the field. You want to make sure that the opposing team doesn't have an idea what's going on. Mahomes had 360 that day. Pacheco with 62. Kelsey was high man at 121. Chargers. I think you had that game. Herbert punctured his lung. Was
yeah,
that the game?
that was a good game. It looked like we were going to go down to the wire there, and it didn't look good for us. And then again, going back to the secondary, I guess that was the other big loss that we had in secondary besides Honey Badger was Javarius Ward, who got a big hefty contract for the number one defense in the league.
Yeah, pretty big deal.
That was a pretty big loss, and
Yeah,
so you're playing 3-4 rookies in the secondary, and Watson came up big and had a pick inside the 10 that pretty much sealed it. Otherwise, we would have had the ball back and down 4 trying to score.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I think I can remember Herbert threw an absolute laser beam after he's questionable from coming back. So um, Herbert, an up and comer that a lot of folks were hailing as the next big thing. Didn't really play too well, or didn't necessarily live up to the hype here this year, but was missing out on Allen and Williams for a lot of the years. So
Yeah,
I don't know, can't really blame him. Eckler was putting up some stats with them. So
yeah. So yeah, a lot of people had. I don't want to say a lot of people. I saw a couple of people before the year that Justin Herbert was the number one QB in the AFC West. So
yeah,
that
well,
was a little interesting to see. But I feel like that's kind of pundits trying to make controversy. And I feel like me and you, even though we're Chiefs fans, we're going to tell it like it is and not try and sugarcoat it or try and bring up debate just to debate and say some guy is the best player at his position when we truly full well know he's not.
yeah. I mean, I think you kind of see that with Mahomes this year. He's kind of solidified things. Um, they go to they're at the Colts to the next game. Played dreadfully.
Yeah,
Um,
that was not a good game.
Ref kind of got us on that one, but then again, you can't necessarily let it down to just that one play. So
you can't really let down to that one play. Although that was huge, but at the same time, I feel like the Chiefs a lot of times play to their competition. If you're playing a really good team, you play them close, and a lot of times when you play uh, not so good team, you kind of think
play
it's
down to
going to
the level.
be play down to the level, kind of a trap game.
Yeah.
We'll get later on to the schedule later in the season. You can see a couple of those trap games with second, third string quarterbacks.
Yep.
Houston would be another one we could talk about where
Tennessee, same thing.
Houston's going for the 1-2 pick, and we barely won that game in overtime. So
Yeah. Tampa Bay next up. Kind of a deja vu from a couple years ago, but
yeah,
Brady didn't look. I mean, Bucks didn't look. I mean, I had Mike Evans on my team, and I think he had 2 touchdowns this game, maybe, and then did nothing for the rest of the year.
yeah, that was one of those ones
Subjectively,
you
I mean,
kind of look back at. In the previous year, we did the same thing in the regular season, and then they destroyed us in the Super Bowl. Um, I don't think they were the same team as they've been in the years past. I think Brady lost a little zip. Well, obviously, the O line got worse with you had
yeah,
Marpet retiring. Jensen had a knee injury, so he wasn't playing, and then you lose your right guard to the Bengals in offseason. So you try and start a rookie at left guard. I'm not sure if the center was a rookie, but eh. And
yeah,
then you trade for Shaq Mason, which he was a stud in New England, but whole new line and another year on Brady's arm and body, and didn't have the killer defenses that they used to.
Brady's thrown it 40 times. Fournette is a shell of himself. Kind
Yeah,
of, I mean, case in point, why he got let go late in the year. But um,
yeah.
yeah, they were.
Going back on that, it's one of those things. It's older guys getting older and all that stuff, and then once you get down 2, 3 touchdowns, I think that game was at 21-3 at one point, something like that. We were up at least 2 scores. We were up 2 scores, maybe 17 points. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but I know we were up at least 2 scores. It's kind of well, we need to go away from our game plan because I think Bucks that this past year were trying to run the ball more instead of having Brady throw 40, 50 times a game. So I think they were trying to change up their game plan. And when you're down 2 scores on Mahomes, you can't really do the running game anymore. So it's kind of a throw all to get you back in the game. And I think the Chiefs secondary kind of was like, okay, we're up 2 scores. Let's kind of play a little
Sit
cover and
back.
sit back and make them lollygag down the field, I'd like to say.
Yeah, I think kind of a few of the teams heard some people talk about kind of give up this little chip yardage and then tighten up in the red zone. But I mean, then again, offenses are so good, especially when you're playing against a guy like Brady. You're definitely going to be able to get some points, get some yards. They just weren't firing on all cylinders, and you kind of get that. They kind of throw some guys at the wayside here this offseason, get rid of the OC, and Brady's gone, so
Yeah,
they're going to
and
have a tough time
yeah,
rebuilding.
especially mentioning that Bucks game, you also had Mahomes potentially with the play of the year,
Yeah,
first or second and goal, and he gets blitzed on the outside, does a bootleg, burns that guy, does a 360 spin, and does a little flip shot to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So
yeah. Clyde was on fire. I think he had six tutties here in those first couple games. Gets
yeah,
hurt, and then you just don't see him. But it's kind of next man up.
yep,
We go to we're playing Vegas here the next game. I'm in Madrid at this point. I was traveling abroad, and I think Kelsey was definitely my hero this year for fantasy
can't
football.
yeah,
I go to
can't go
sleep.
wrong.
I think it's like 2:30. I go to sleep. I'm down like 30 something, and Kelsey has 4 tutties, 7 catches, I think, and yeah,
Only
I came
30.
back
He only
one.
had 34 yards or 43 yards. It was
He didn't have
minimal.
very many,
He didn't have many. I was actually
but
at that game with one of our buddies.
mm,
Uh, First live
uh,
game since I got rid of my season ticket. So it was
ooh,
nerve wracking, especially you go down 17-3 and you're like, okay, are the Raiders actually this good after adding all these pieces, or are we just not playing to our ability? And
I think
you end up 30-29.
I remember that group chat. You were not in a good place.
Well, especially whenever we're down 2 touchdowns, I'm never in a good place. I'll 100%
How?
admit that.
I mean, to be fair, probably a little bit of crispiness was going on, but
Yeah.
um, I'm surprised that a couple bets didn't come out
Yeah.
that day. Brian, you've been known to make some bad bets. 2 years ago, I think it was week 3. You said that we were not making the playoffs.
Yep.
I was just a $20 bet. I think eventually week 5 rolled around and you upped it to 100. I didn't take it. Um,
Mistake on your part.
well, yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, what did I have to lose?
Yeah, I get when it comes to
Don't
Chiefs.
bet against Mahomes and
No,
Reed.
yeah, 100% I agree with that. But at the same time, when I'm high, I'm high. When I'm low, I'm low. I will throw them under the bus left and right, even though I
Uh,
know that's not a good plan. But
you need to
in
take
my
a
own
lap.
in my own way, in my own head, I'm thinking when I say this stupid stuff, we always come out on top. And granted, I'll lose $20, $40 here on a bet.
But it was worth it, right?
It's worth it. We win.
Yeah. Well,
Wife's
uh,
probably not too happy about that strategy, but hey, What can you do?
It's a good thing you don't have any apps on the phone because you are not a good gambler. We'll come
Yeah,
back to another bet you made later in the season. Buffalo game happens. We lose 24-20. Um, everyone thought that was going to be about a 40-45 game, something like that.
yeah, big
Um,
offensive game.
but yeah, big loss.
I figured that would be going into the season. I thought we finished 14-3. I thought we were more of a 13-4, 12-5 squad. Um,
We also
we,
thought Denver, Raiders, and the Chargers were going to be a lot better than what they were.
uh, I don't know.
You don't think so?
The only team I think I thought would be better would be the Chargers for sure, and they kind of proved that with being in the playoffs. Raiders,
Picking up Devontae Adams.
I
I
mean,
mean, dude went
Devontae
nuts
Adams is
against us.
top 3 receiver in the league, but is that going to push you over the top?
I
Uh,
mean, Josh Jacobs, he came around.
I mean, but nobody knew Josh Jacobs was coming around. Josh Jacobs is
No,
was obviously this is his best year. That's why he's going to get it paid.
yeah,
Um, Chandler Jones, everyone was talking about him being the big signing to pair with Max Crosby. Dude's 33, 34. Doesn't have the same juice he once did, especially doesn't have the juice that he did with New England early on in his career. Doesn't have the juice that he had with the Cardinals.
yeah. I mean, anytime Max Crosby's on the field, though, I love watching that guy play.
Yeah,
Every bit of heart and soul gets poured on that field, and I love it. I think that's one dude that
I would love to have on
if
our team.
you got to keep that man around if you're the
Oh, he
Raiders.
already signed a big contract, but if that
Yeah,
wasn't
they
the case,
just
that'd be one
just
of the guys I'd
restructured,
love.
didn't they? Restructured him.
I just think they gave him a contract extension at the
Was
beginning of
it?
last year. I'm not particularly sure, but
But yeah, I mean, definitely a guy that you want to keep around, not only because I think lead by example. He definitely puts it out there. Bye week, or no, we have San Francisco. San Francisco was an absolute thrashing. I think they're missing a couple guys, but Mahomes goes off for like 400
yeah,
that
I would
game.
say that was McCaffrey's first game as a 49er.
Unlucky.
He played minimal,
Yeah,
not minimal, but he didn't play as much as he would have. Um, again, going so far through the season, Chiefs or Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Bucks, Raiders, Bills, and 49ers. I would have
hmm
said at the beginning of the year, being a 13-4 team, we start off, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. And then I would say we, in my personal opinion, before when the season started and schedule came out,
lose to Buffalo.
start 5-0, lose to Buffalo. 49ers was another one I had a loss on.
Really tough game.
Uh, 49ers are always tough. They're always going to have that defense, and they were the number one defense going into that week. And
Gosh, they pick up another freak this year too.
Reed and Bieniemy just game planned the crap out of them, and they just got dismantled. Another big play by a rookie corner, picking off Garoppolo right before half
Yeah,
inside the 10 again. Apparently, that's where our rookies like to make interceptions, is inside the red zone.
make them count.
That was kind of a huge play in that game where you think if 49ers at least get a field goal, you're kind of like, okay, this could be a
This is a game.
3-point, 7-point game, and then it turns out to win by 21. So,
Yeah, not a bad shout. Bye week. Week 8, Tennessee. Malik Willis.
gets his first start.
First start, and he looks dreadful. I can't believe this is only a 20-17 game, but I think you go back to you kind of play down to your competition. I don't know what was that was awful. This was an awful game to
I
watch.
mean, just looking at terrible game to watch. It seems like
Mahomes
this
had 446 this game too, and it didn't make any sense.
yeah. Looking back at it, it's like looking at the schedule. Apparently, we don't know how to play good against the AFC South, which besides the Jaguars at the last 8 weeks of the season, that division was a dumpster fire. And so
Yeah,
apparently, we don't know how to play against them. Granted, the Titans have a really good front three. Jeffrey Simmons, absolute top 3 defensive
and you
lineman in the
knew
league.
you knew Henry was going to have a go. You
Yeah,
know,
Um, I think they put too much on his shoulders that week. It's obviously your rookie quarterback starting his first game. You don't want to have him throwing
He
20, 30 times a game. So
oddly didn't play the second half hardly at all, if I can remember right.
who, Willis or Henry?
Henry.
I
I
mean, they kind of he just kept getting stuffed. I mean, he had that one big long run. I think he finished with 25 carries, 117 yards. I mean, I think he
had
had
like 90 in the first half
he
though,
had 80
right?
or 90 in the
80.
first half with a
Yeah.
tutty, and then after that it was kind of crapshoot. And
I mean, kind of the same thing
Willis
with
was
them.
5 of 16 for 80 yards. I remember watching that game. He had that one good throw to
Yeah,
their tight end.
40 yards, something like down the
Something
left
like
side,
that.
right?
Got it down to the 1 or 2, and then Derrick Henry had a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah.
But not a good first showing for him. I mean,
No.
they didn't draft him super high, but I don't think that's going to be the guy that's going to get you to the next level if you're looking at it. And I feel like that's why the Titans are the new GM that came in said he's. I think they're going to stick with Tannehill, and I mean I don't think Tannehill is going to get you to the end all be all either. But
Yeah, I kind of need someone to hold over from the old guard to the new guard.
yeah, you got to find that quarterback that you think is going to be the future. Derrick Henry is probably on his last year or two.
Let's say
He's on his last leg.
28,
He's 29.
29, even
He might
worse.
be. I'm not sure. I think he's 30, maybe at the start of the year or during the year.
Gosh,
He's
it's
probably
like
got 1 or 2
2 years
good
too
years
old
left,
for a
especially with
running back.
how much carries he's getting. I think this was his first year of his career where he didn't have 300 carries. I think he was at 290, so he was close. But previous 7, 8 years, they've
Yeah,
been giving him the rock left and right. So
and he had a couple nice catches this year. One thing I don't understand. Just switch up the playbook a little bit. Make it so teams don't think you're going to be running every time
yeah, and
he's on the
then
field.
exactly, and if it's 3rd and 5, he's going out. I don't think he. Maybe now that he's in his older years, but I feel like he could have been on 3rd and 5. He's not a terrible receiver whatsoever, or
Yeah,
out of the backfield, but
yeah.
you kind of knew what they were going to run. First and second downs,
I
95%
mean,
of the time going to be a run, and then third
Robert
down, see
Woods.
what you get.
Robert Woods didn't do anything. Traylon Burks, I think, must have been. He was hurt a little bit this year, I believe.
Yeah, I think he missed 5 or 6 games, something like that.
So not a good start. No wide receiver core. I had a tight end show up at the end of the year, I think.
Okonkwo, that dude's
Conquo.
going to be good.
But you don't have much.
That would be my sleeper for fancy
Conquo.
tight ends. It would be Okonkwo. Yeah.
I still think Watson in Cleveland is going to put some together. Who's the tight end for the Browns?
Njoku.
Yeah, I think Njoku is going to be a pretty good player.
You would think so. Brissett had a good repertoire with him, and he was doing some work with Brissett before Watson came back in. And I think Watson being out for almost 2 years kind of didn't do him any favors. I think they could have maybe had a shot at the playoffs if they would just would stuck with Brissett the rest of the year. But you're paying a guy 200 something million, you can't really say your suspension's over, just sit out the rest of the year. But
we are going all in.
They were playoff contention with Brissett before they went to Watson, and he did not play his best football. And I think the 2.5 years off or 2 years off didn't do him any favors, and he might be looking better next year with a full playbook, full practice, getting to get some reps with some guys for the full year instead of because he couldn't practice until week 11. So
yeah,
get a full rep of with all his guys for the full year might help him out.
Their tight end that killed me at the end of the year, Evan Ingram.
Rough.
We lose to, or we beat Jacksonville 27-17. Mahomes, I think, was over 300 this game. Not too many. Yeah, I mean, he spread it out. Kelsey, I think, was high man. SC at 81, so he was all over the place.
331, 4 touchdowns. Yep.
Yeah. And I think this is this the start to McKinnon's nine touchdowns. Are we
He did not have a touchdown that game. That
no?
was Tony's first game with first NFL career touchdown for Tony with doing the tap down the sidelines.
Oh yeah, he. I think I heard him talking later. He thought he was pretty close to being outside of bounds, so he's doing anything and everything he could
And
to stay in.
former offensive coordinator for Chiefs, Doug Peterson.
Yeah,
I think he's got that team in the right direction. Taking over for Urban Meyer. And what he had last year. That was a doozy. Um, but you saw what he did when he left the Chiefs and he went to the Eagles. Got that Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Um, Sat out for a year or two after the Eagles said, "Hey, I don't think you're the guy anymore." Um, Comes in with a dumpster fire of what Urban Meyer left.
yeah. I think
Granted,
Urban Meyer had his hands on doing a few extracurricular activities more than he was actually
yeah,
coaching, right?
I mean they had a good roster, but
Yeah.
Urban Meyer didn't know how to coach them and didn't know what to do with them.
ETN
Christian,
was also hurt the first year.
correct, yeah. Etienne coming back healthy, he looks like a top 10 fantasy running back.
Yeah.
You give Christian Kirk that big deal.
Calvin
Again,
Ridley's coming back next year
Kevin
too.
Ridley's going to be back. Zay Jones, another breakout year for him. He had that
Yeah.
one good year with the Raiders and goes to Jacksonville, does some things. Evan Ingram, again, that was Evan Ingram's first year there.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you read the Calvin Ridley letter
I
to
did,
self?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize. Man, that'd be really scary. Someone breaking into your house and I mean, go to a pretty dark hole.
Yeah, crappy childhood as well.
Yeah. So, I feel
Youngest
for
of
that man,
3 or 4 brothers, and kind of have to be
the man.
the dad at that point. And
Yeah, that's
uh,
too bad.
he turned it around, made football his life. That's that's for a lot of people, you know. I guess Josh Jacobs, same scenario. He was homeless a couple of years in high school.
Yeah.
It's kind of some path for some of these guys, and they turn around and
Yeah, making something of themselves. To be
yeah.
fair, um,
But yeah,
I think.
also at the same time, dumb to betting on your own team. Granted, he picked them to win, so he probably
Yeah.
lost that bet, and then he lost the season.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Atlanta wasn't good. Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to, just trying to piggyback off of, everyone's elation, but I think we're playing against a couple of Los Angeles teams. The next couple, I don't really remember the Los Angeles Chargers game. The
But
Los Angeles Rams game was dreadful to watch.
yeah, going back to that Jaguars real quick.
Oh,
I think that's the team that's up and coming, and I think they're going to run that AFC South for the next. As long as Trevor Lawrence is there, I think they're going to run it for a while. As long as they can keep good O line and keep some of those receivers and ETN and all those guys healthy, I think they have a good shot at running that division for a while because that division's kind of been new winner every year. It seems like.
yeah.
You got Tennessee, you got Jacksonville, Tennessee, Colts, Houston.
It just doesn't make any sense. The Colts are that bad at what they do.
They just keep trying to put off getting the franchise quarterback and getting all these old guys that are way past their prime and thinking that's going to be the issue that's going to solve everything.
Maybe I mean a couple a little bit better than what we had last year. Quarterback class wasn't that good, but
Yeah,
we'll see what they are. What do they got? The fourth pick this year.
correct. Yep.
So Panthers. Who's number 2?
Houston.
What? Arizona, and then the
Yep.
Colts,
Yep.
and then Seattle.
Yep.
Not sure who
And
6 is, but 7's the Raiders. So a couple quarterbacks maybe coming off the board here pretty quick.
yeah, that's huge for the Seahawks to re-sign Geno, so they don't have to spend a pick on that. They can go some other areas there.
Yeah, what they were saying was it's a pretty team friendly deal rather. Gino's kind of betting on himself again, so I think only like 40 million of that is guaranteed. So
Yeah.
another dude that was kind of traveling all over the place finally finds himself a spot, and I mean played decent last year, but Um, I don't know. I just can't get behind Geno Smith, to be fair. Um,
I mean, Pro Bowl year, but
what does Pro Bowl need? I mean, Tyler Huntley made it too for the.
that's true. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Geno was one of the top three NFC quarterbacks from the get go, or
Not too many though, to be fair, in the
injury
NFC
happened,
comparatively.
or obviously you have Hurts that's out. Maybe Geno replaced him. I'm not. I didn't really pay attention NFC wise. Who?
Aaron Rodgers didn't do that much. I mean, I guess you could have said Danny Dimes, maybe.
Eh,
Uh,
I don't know. Again,
Goff. Goff was
it,
good. I mean,
it
I
comes
think,
down to, is Geno going to get you the Super Bowl?
I
Don't
don't.
think so.
I
But
don't think so.
again, you
But if you're, I mean,
if you
if
get a
you're,
Legion of Boom again, you don't really need that stud quarterback. It's like I said, defense wins championships unless you're the Chiefs and you have Mahomes.
yeah, lucky us. To be
um,
fair, some guys being lost on the Rams. Ramsey goes to Miami. They were in shambles all year. Cooper Cup, is he gone? Aaron Donald. I mean, if you're the Rams, why don't you move some of these guys just to simply get draft capital, which they have none.
well, yeah, I feel like they kind of are in rebuild mode, but they're because they don't have any picks until round three. Um, but at the same time, uh, Ramsey was a cap cut. You can't. They were somewhat over. I'm not sure how much over the cap they were, but that's why Ramsey got traded for a third round and a bag of chips. Sorry, third round tight or third string tight end.
Yeah,
Essentially a bag of chips.
yeah. They
Going back to that schedule though, Chiefs Chargers game. What do you think about that one?
I honestly don't remember that game. Um, I couldn't tell you what happened. I think the I think my I was just looking ahead to. I thought we kind of cruised past the Chargers. Rams was an oversight. It was Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup wasn't even playing that game, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Was
He
he?
didn't get hurt till week 14, 15. But
I don't know. I just remember
that
that.
Chiefs Chargers game, that was first game Kelsey had a touchdown since that Raiders week.
Um, I mean, Pacheco did have over 100. I I don't know. This one I just can't remember.
Yeah,
I
Pacheco
think
ran
I was.
hard. They even talked to Andy Reid after the game. Andy Reid said he wanted to get him over 100, so he gave him a couple extra carries in the second half because he ran so hard on a couple of those big runs in the first half. He broke off. That was the one where we were down four with about a minute or with 2 minutes, something like that left, and
Mm,
good old Patty and the Chiefs did their 2 minute drill. Kelsey does a cross slant, whatever you want to call it, over the middle, beats Derwin James and walks into the end zone with about 40 seconds left, something like that. And
okay.
that was kind of that game.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think I was looking ahead at um,
Bengals.
the Bengals game.
Yeah.
P Ryan, I think, has over 100 that game. He had to go. I don't even think Joe Burrow had that many yards, but we a couple of the guys at work and I do try and pick the closest score, and I don't know. I wanted to
Yeah,
pick the
Burrow had
Chiefs to lose
286
this
with two
one.
touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, this one kind of didn't feel good, but as the game went on, I thought I was in pretty much control, and then it just slips out of our hands.
Yeah, that was a
Big man Kelsey doesn't make those mistakes too many times, but man,
yeah, that
big
was a
spot.
huge one. And then Mahomes didn't really have his best game. 223 yards, touchdown, nothing too crazy. He had that reach over the goal line touchdown running wise.
That's true.
Yeah, not too good of a game. That was another loss I had on my schedule. So that's three of my losses, and I think my other loss, looking ahead, I
Probably
think
Denver somewhere in there.
I think it was one of the Raiders games. If I'm being honest,
One of the Raiders.
they always play us tough.
I
One
don't know.
game, they always play us tough one game, and then the next game's a complete blowout win for us.
Yeah, as we
Um,
see later on in the year. I mean, I
so the
thought Denver
blowout
was going to
was
be
the
better.
last game. I thought we might
Yeah,
have lost the first time versus Raiders. I guess would have been my first loss. I guess maybe I
at
don't know.
home. Yeah,
For
I don't know.
sure, I for sure had us losing 3 with the Bills, 49ers, and Bengals. Were my 3 for sure. I didn't think we were going to win that, just because we never usually beat the Bills during the regular season. History shows Bengals have kind of dominated the last couple of years. Regular season, 49ers were always a good team. Um, so 14-3, 13-4, probably about right
Yeah,
where we were at.
just need to get on the playoffs.
Yep.
And really, I mean, the end of the season, after going through that gauntlet, the first, um, you know, 7 games. I think these last 5 that we've played, Denver's in shambles. Play as well twice, but Houston also dreadful. They probably let off the gas at the end of the year. Didn't want to screw up their number one. Um,
Yeah.
being the running for the number one pick. Seattle was a dreadful game. I don't know what happened. It was so. I mean, that was another boring one.
Boring. Trying to run the ball. Seahawks ran the ball first, second down, no matter what. It's kind of a cold, snowy game. Not really snowing heavily, but that cold, windy
Tyler
game.
Lockett, was he out?
I can't remember. Yes, he
Um,
was. He was.
I think he was out.
That was
Yeah.
the
So
first week after breaking his finger or something.
mm.
But yeah, going back to the Chiefs Broncos game, dominating early on, kind of let him back in, kind of took our foot off the pedal,
Oh
made it
yeah, we're up
closer.
like 17, right?
Yeah, uh, Bolton with a touchdown, defensive wise, um, kind of let the foot off the gas. Chiefs Texans, we weren't really ever ahead or felt like we were going to dominate or it was going to be an easy to win. We kind of just
He just putts through it.
we putts through that kind of like when talking about NBA, 82 game schedule in NBA, they kind of take some
It's load
games off.
management,
Yeah, it's a little
I
load
guess.
management kind of. A couple, I know the Warriors have talked about in the last couple of years. It's kind of hard when you know you're that team. It's kind of hard to get motivated and get pumped up for a game when it's like, does this game really matter in the grand scheme of things? I'm trying to wait for the playoffs to turn it up and go that extra level. And I feel like that was definitely the Chiefs Broncos first game, Texans game, Seahawks
Mhm.
game. Just weather wise, they just kind of it was just an eh.
Yeah, I mean, we're just planning on getting the playoffs and not be hurt.
Keeping some, yeah, keeping guys healthy.
Yeah,
Second Broncos game, don't really remember that much of that one.
nope.
I,
And then
I
they
remember the at Broncos more than I do at home versus Broncos, but 3 point game, another close one.
and then the Raiders didn't play Derek Carr.
Yeah,
He was already off. So
Jarrett Tidman kind of. Yeah, looking back at the stats of that Broncos second game,
Jerry Judy kind of went nuts, if I remember right. Was it the first game?
that was Jerry Judy the first game. Jerry Judy had 7 for 38 in that second game, but yeah, you look at the quarters. We won the first quarter 6-0, lost the second quarter 10-7, lost the third quarter 7-0, and won the fourth quarter 14-7. So it looked like it came down to that fourth quarter. I can't really remember that game too well.
No.
Mahomes 328 with the 3 touchdowns and the pick. Um, unsung hero the last half of the season, Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at his, um, and I don't know if you've seen it, but uh, the franchise that the Chiefs do, his fingerprint was on every bit of this last episode. That was the only episode that I watched, but he is stoked about being in the Super Bowl, obviously.
Yep.
But him and Frank Clark are just getting everyone hyped up. The parade, they're going nuts. A notable absence was Clyde the Glide.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, he wasn't there, and he was important at the beginning of the season too. So I mean, it wasn't like he had done nothing. 6 touchdowns to begin the year. But if you're out in New
If you're
York
out,
doing a fashion show, I don't know.
yeah, if you get hurt and you have a guy rookie come in and just kind of outplay your production that you put on. Granted, you were getting
Yeah.
those touchdowns, but production wise, besides those touchdowns, what can you say? And
Yeah.
a lot of his touchdowns were inside the 5 on play action, Mahomes circus plays.
Yeah.
I remember that Cardinals game first week of the season. They did that little underhand flip play where they had Clyde motion into the fullback spot, do a fade to the left, come back to the right real quick, underhand.
Hmm.
But again, Pacheco's just more ideal for our offense. I feel like we need a bruiser, especially goal line carries. I don't think Clyde's a goal line guy. I think Clyde's outside the tackles,
Yeah.
receiving back, and I think we tried to utilize him up the gut more than we should have. I feel like that's more Pacheco's strength is up the gut. Um, I just don't think we ever really used Clyde how he should have been used.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I really like him. I know my neighbor's a big LSU fan. He's like, man, you guys don't know what you got in Clyde.
Yeah,
This was such a good pick. Everyone's ragging on him. Never really turned out to be. I know Joe Burrow said a couple times. I mean, he's one of the best, college football players that he played with. One of the best football players that he played with. But I don't know. Never really turned out. I mean, I think if you don't
couldn't figure it
have
out.
Jarek
Yeah,
McKinnon, I mean, you play Pacheco, the first or second. Honestly, if Pacheco is drafted the year that Clyde is, and then Clyde is drafted the year that McKinnon or that Pacheco is. I think you can use Clyde as a third down catching back,
yeah,
and maybe the first two downs are Pacheco, and but it's not how time works.
yeah.
I feel bad for him, but I mean, anytime that you're not out celebrating with your mates, I don't care how much. I mean, we saw the guy from Denver that was on the practice squad. He was
Melvin
stoked.
Gordon.
Melvin Gordon is like, I didn't do anything. I just showed up.
I mean, he was loving it though. You gotta.
I mean, that's a ring that he's not going to get otherwise.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
he can tell
Uh,
people, hey, I was in the league for 10 years. I got Super Bowl ring.
I don't know. I
Not a lot of
mean,
people can say that. But going back
I
to
definitely think
Clyde,
that.
I love the pick of Clyde. I don't like where he was picked.
Yeah,
Was my issue that draft. Again, that's the draft after winning the Super Bowl.
yeah.
I think you go secondary or defense there.
And I mean, the defense that year. I mean,
Was not good.
We were winning in spite of the defense. So
Correct. That's why you go defense or
yeah,
you definitely go D line or secondary. And they said, "Hey, Mahomes, we just won Super Bowl. What do you want to go with?" And I don't like. I like Clyde as picking him that draft. I don't like first round running backs.
yeah. That's I mean,
Um,
especially if you pass up on Jonathan Taylor. Oh
if
my
you're
God.
DeAndre Swift as well, J.K. Dobbins as well.
Ooh,
But when it comes to first round running backs, they got to be generational.
they could be
They got to be
freaks.
they got to be a Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Um,
Because at this point, you're really only getting 4 or 5 years out of them.
that and again, the Chiefs don't need a big name guy at running back. That's not our strength. I
Yeah,
think we
you
were
got one
me.
five.
I think me and you were looking the other day at cap hits positional rankings, and the Chiefs had the lowest cap hit at running back.
Um, let's see.
Maybe not lowest; they were definitely top 5 lowest. But I don't think you got 1-5 back there and good front line, and you got Andy Reid calling plays. Running backs kind of your last issue that you worry about. You have a big bruiser, and then you get a good receiving back and call it a day.
Yeah, I think running back 2.39% of the cap. They got 3 players. Cap dollars is 5,273,000. Um,
Where was that ranked?
20 surprisingly.
Wow.
What's even more surprising is well, that was the lowest part of the team. Lowest money spent on the team. The linebackers.
Rookie
Linebackers, five
contracts. Yep.
players, 6 million, 6.2 million.
Yep.
I mean, you got Gay, you got Bolton, you got
Chanel.
Chanel as well. That's the 31st rank, but I mean, they're gonna have to make some decisions here soon. Bolton and Gay both coming out of the rookie contract here.
Yep.
I love both of them, to be
Yep.
fair.
Yep.
Um,
For sure.
but you'll probably only be able to keep one, and
I think
um,
if that comes to the case of that, you let Gay
it's
walk and you play
it's a
Chanel where
no-brainer.
Gay's at.
Yeah,
And you resign Bolton.
Bolton is so good.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. He's all
I
over the
he got
field. He
snubbed for the
lights out.
he got snubbed for the Pro Bowl in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
Second leading tackler in the league.
I think Pro Bowl just doesn't matter.
I
Like,
mean, it really doesn't. It's more of a popularity contest.
that I would rather have like something based upon what your teammates, what players around the league have said.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't
I'd
really
rather
matter
have
to me.
the one seed in a Super Bowl.
I think Bolton would too.
Yeah.
He would tell your Pro Bowl kick rocks.
Yep.
We get in the playoffs. I think this first. We were pretty lucky to get the number one seed. Um, unfortunate events.
Mm-hmm.
First week though, my gosh, we watched Jacksonville come back from behind on the Chargers.
Yeah.
Miami almost beat Buffalo that week.
Yeah.
New York had to go at Minnesota,
Yeah.
and then Baltimore almost pulled the unthinkable. Maybe that's why teams don't think Lamar Jackson. I mean, if Huntley can do that against Cincinnati, I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think Lamar Jackson is top seven quarterback, top five ish. Uh,
Yeah. For sure. I know we'll talk about free agents and all that stuff that's kind of happened this week on the next episode. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, going to that first week of the play, or technically second week of the playoffs, our first game. Um, I was nervous.
yeah.
Jags.
Jags look
I
nice.
know
For
we beat
uh,
them by 10 the first game again. I think looking back at that,
yeah,
yeah, we won 27-17. Ever since we beat them, they hadn't lost the game since that game. And then they took over the AFC South, and they just looked scary. They looked like Doug Peterson finally figured it out offensive wise, and I was nervous as crap going into that game. I got even more nervous as soon as Mahomes went down with that injury, and then you had
Chad
good
Henne,
old
what
man
a
Chad Henne
freak.
coming in there, 98-yard drive. Just say, let's get it, letting them hang. Here we go.
Yeah, they definitely looked pretty nice. A lot of nerves though, in that first game, and
Oh, for sure.
I think put a lot of doubt into KC. into KC. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
think coming to work, we got the win, but it's like, good God, Bills are gonna. I mean, Bills may, or the Bengals may have a go at
Yeah.
us. This could be really
And
bad.
then that was another good game for Watson with another pick, one-handed clutch time pick, and then they tried running out the clock. That didn't go well. They go down, get a quick field goal, make it a 7-point game, and uh, onside kick time, and you're crapping your pants. And it's like, oh gosh, if they get this, what's going to happen? They're
Yeah,
going to get a touchdown, go for two for sure. But recover that onside kick, and we move on.
Pacheco has 95 yards that game too. I need a
Ooh, he had that big play where he tried going with the middle, got stuff, ran to Joe Tooney's butt,
yeah.
and he kicked it out, and he did his best water boy high stepping.
Oh man,
Almost took it home and got a touchdown, but didn't. But then we
he
finally put it
is
away.
he is so good. I love watching him play.
Yep.
Kelsey almost has 98 in that one too. If I remember right, Ingram had a decent game. I think uh was it that game, or was it the first Jacksonville game where Christian Kirk had to go at us?
First one. Kirk had
First one.
7 for 52 and a touchdown. Uh, yeah, I think Zay Jones had the best game that week with 5 for 83.
Yeah, fair. Um, Do I get to the
But
conference
again,
change?
217 yards from Lawrence. He had more yards than Mahomes. Mahomes another, I mean, good efficient game, but only 195 yards.
Man, I can remember they just kept running that ball from. They weren't in shotgun. It's like, what are you guys doing? Just let
Yep.
them chill back there.
Yep.
I think that was like something like 60% of their plays were in shotgun this year, and I don't know why they chose to not run shotgun at the end. It's like, just stay back there.
Yeah. But
I
again, 195 with high ankle sprain. Can't complain about that. No
was a freak.
turnovers got you the
Yeah,
win. So
yeah. I mean, KC Bengals conference championship back at the Arrowhead Invitational.
more worried about this one than I was the week before. I think that's a trend
God,
for our playoffs. There was no
Patty
game I was
Mahomes.
there was no game I was really confident about.
No one rushed the ball this game. Joe Burrow had the most for 30. Scantling went nuts. His best game of the season, showed up in the big plays. Don't think he even gets a catch in the Super Bowl, but
He
I
did
mean
not.
they had
That,
Marcus Valdez Scantling. They had Kemp at the end of the game. They were struggling. Juju's out. Mecole comes back. He's out.
and then Tony
Um,
got hurt again. So we had our questionably top three guy receiver wise out. Busy
yeah,
with MVS, Justin Watson, Marcus Kemp. Not a good three-person combo to throw out there, but you do. MVS probably has his best game of the season. Good time to do it. Mahomes 326, 2 touchdowns. Didn't really have a run game. Pacheco 10 for 26. That's not really anything to write
yeah.
home about. But
I don't know.
find a way. A couple
They get it
questionable
done.
calls that everyone likes to go off of, and
Yeah. Um, I mean, the rest were bad all season, so I mean, you could definitely say that they helped us out in spots, but um,
I'm not okay with them saying that Mahomes dove. He's 2 feet out of bounds when he gets shoved in the back.
man, I felt bad for that guy. One, I
Rookie,
think he
rookie
ruined
played a
his
great
leg,
game.
and then did that to end
Played
the
an
game.
unbelievable game. He was the hardest guy to block that entire night.
Yeah, that sucks. A
But
bit
again,
overzealous, and then I mean, cleans his clock, cleans Mahomes' clock.
and then Buckert
Um,
with just straight piping one down the pipe.
it didn't go that way throughout the whole season. Next game, I
I
mean,
mean, he's got
same
clutch
thing.
genes. I guess when it matters most, he's nerves and got ice in his veins. But when it's regular season, it's kind of a shoot or miss. It seemed like this year. Normally, he's been ice in the veins most of the time.
Yeah,
Defense, big game. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions.
yeah. I think
Chris
they had
Jones getting his first playoff sack finally, and he had two that game. He showed out, especially down the stretch when the Bengals had the ball with minute 30 left, 3rd and 8.
pretty. I was pretty nervous. I
I
think
thought
you also made a bet this game too,
I
didn't
don't think
you?
I made a bet. I think when they got the ball back with a minute or with 2 minutes left, I said, "Oh gosh, here it goes. It's over." I don't think I
Uh,
made a bet. I will
if I
admit
can
that I said,
recall, we made a $40 bet in
ah,
this Bengals game. Um, I know we did
we're
because
gonna have to
this
go
is this.
check the receipts. We'll get back
Uh,
to you guys on the next
we
episode.
can check Venmo, but I'm almost positive a $20 bet went down, and then you came back and you doubled down and said up to 40. And I remember hitting the alert online and saying, you said everyone better remember this, and I said yes, I'm taking that bet.
Okay, we'll get back
Um,
with you guys next week on this. We'll start off next week's or the next episode off
yeah,
this, go off of it because
we'll check Venmo. We'll
I
see.
think he's full of it.
We'll
I
see what's
definitely
going on.
admitted that I thought we were done. So once Burrow had the ball with two
Yeah,
minutes left, I thought I was over.
have faith. I don't know.
What game? What I'm looking at Venmo now. What game? What day was that game?
Uh, this was what Sunday, January 29th.
Okay, so I did make that bet -40. I paid Alex -40. So again,
Gosh,
people, if you're watching,
you'll learn next year.
you'll you won't even learn next year. You'll just learn whenever I bet against something. Always bet the opposite, and you'll win. And I feel like in my head, it's a good Chiefs omen. Anytime I say something bad, Chiefs prove me wrong on purpose.
Right, right. Sign of a good fan, everyone.
Reverse psychology.
Take notes. I think
Reverse psychology. You know,
Brian went from a Bengals fan to
I
or
was
Chiefs
never a
fan
Bengals
to
fan.
Bengals fan to Eagles fan. Maybe
Okay,
in about all a matter of 7 days.
no, was never a Bengals fan. You guys just said I
You
was a
got
Bengals fan because my fantasy team had a
you,
bunch of Bengals players,
you did get baptized
unbeknownst to
as an
me.
Eagles fan though, um,
I did not.
by one of our other mates.
Again, didn't
We'll
feel
have
good about that game either.
live footage of that one.
Of another random white guy getting dunked in an Eagles tank. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we got that on video. Um, to be honest, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel good about the Eagles. It was kind of a so-so. I mean, I think I talked about it with Brad, couple of mates. Eagles didn't play. They played like five good quarterbacks.
yeah, yeah. That was one of
Freak
the
line. I mean, their defense was definitely nutty. I can't believe Arizona has 2 years to work on this field, and this is what they put out.
yeah.
I mean that definitely hampered uh, um, a lot of stuff from both sides. I think one sack happened. Colin Sanders pushed out Jalen Hurts maybe behind the line of scrimmage, and that's the only sack that was that day.
That one and the Bolton fumble six.
Fumble six. Okay, sure. Um, yeah, I didn't feel. I was either
Feel,
way. I think
yeah,
after the first half, um, kind of. I think we were trying to go up two. Didn't end up doing that. Um, Philadelphia may have scored at the end of the first half, and
yeah. They
I
got
think
that field goal.
the sentiment where I was at, in my basement with a couple mates, it was just like, this is the Super Bowl, guys. Get rowdy.
Yeah,
Um, you got Mahomes. I mean, Jalen Hurts played an unbelievable game.
yeah.
Um, but Miles Sanders didn't do anything. I don't think they ran the ball that much. Um,
They were definitely
Devonta's
chewing clock though.
they were chewing clock. I mean, Chiefs questionably had that another fumble six too,
Yeah, that was
or
close.
pick, whatever you want to call it. I think that was a fumble, to be honest. But
I'm opposite. Um, I think they made the right call in the end. He did have the 2 feet down, but in my opinion, I don't think he made a move forward. Um, but again,
that's fair.
didn't matter in the end.
No,
There's a couple calls in that game that could have gone either way, in my opinion. But again, yeah, Jalen Hurts, fantastic game.
nut.
You got two top 20 wide receivers. One's in the top 10, in my opinion. Although we have some friends that think otherwise, that both of them should be in the top 10, which, hey, teach their own. Um, and then
I think Slim Reaper could go top 15. Um, I think he's
I'd
good.
give him top 20. I can't give him top 15. I think I could name 14, 15 of the good guys.
Well, we'll get Taylor on here sometime soon. I know we want to bring in other teams as well. We got a Bucks fan, an Eagles fan, a Ravens fan. Um, all pretty interesting teams to root for. Possibility that there's a Chicago fan on the list, and I mean they're making pretty big moves. But yeah, I love this Super Bowl. I thought it was a great game. Really showed out, especially after that Rams game. It was I mean that was dreadful. Was it last year?
Yeah,
Yeah, Bengals didn't show up to play against the Rams. This was a great game. Philadelphia has to be stoked about Jalen Hurts. I'm giving him money right now.
yeah. You would
Um,
think about doing that sooner than later, so you don't
I mean, if
Danny
Danny
Dimes,
Danny
Lamar type of
Dimes,
scenario. But yeah, going back to that, you got a top five tight end as well. I think Goddard's top five tight end, in my opinion.
good player.
Obviously, you have a top five O line.
Missing a few now. I think a few are going to be leaving. Kelsey should be back, but
Going
Um,
off the sentiment that you were feeling with your buddies at halftime, I kind of had the same sentiment. My sentiment was more we have to score a touchdown first possession out of half. If we don't
yeah,
do that, the game's over. And
yeah,
figure out the game plan, figure out what's working against their defense was kind of a little confused. I think we kind of figured them out with
the
trying to
switch
do they're trying to push guys off, switch guys off when they were switching fields
on the motion.
on the
Yeah,
motion. That they just try to pass it off every time. And I think Andy and Eric and Mahomes kind of saw that and said, okay, we need to start running some fakes on those, and you get two wide open touchdowns off corn dog is what the play is called apparently.
yeah.
Love me some corn dogs, but
Oh
never
man,
heard that
put
as
those
a
guys
football
in the
term
oven.
before. But with I think the second half we kind of figured them out on what they were running and what they were trying to run. And again, field had a field wasn't great, but again, both teams got to adapt to it.
Yeah,
I was watching the Kelsey brothers on their podcast, TikTok, whatever, New Heights, whatever. Jason said he loves it. You got to play to the environment. He said, "Give me as many obstacles, rain, sleet, snow, bad turf, bad field, so I can
it's
figure it
part of
out
the game.
before the defense figures it out." And I kind of like that sentiment where it's kind of
It's game theory.
okay.
You got to
Uh,
figure out. I mean, I saw a couple players change their cleats. You got to figure out different ways to move.
Change up
Uh,
your game plan. Yeah.
the intelligent players they do that. Um, and I think that's kind of one thing that I really like. And I think getting back into football was really big into soccer, but uh, I mean fantasy football is just so cool. The game theory behind it, the thinking. You're kind of your own GM.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess moving away from the Super Bowl, but that's kind of what in goal with this is to be able to chat about fantasy. A lot of moves coming up in
Yep.
free agency. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I think we've hit the hour mark. Tired of us rambling here for today. I know we're going to be coming back. We got some free agency stuff that we're going to be chatting about. A couple more mates coming on. Like I said, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Eagles fans. Maybe we can get some other teams on here and chat about because I think it's really hard to. I mean, so much information is coming in, a lot of different ecosystems, out there, and we really want to get a dive into, what's the sentiment around the league for these different teams too. So that's kind of always interesting to hear is, a smaller side of things.
Yeah. I would definitely say we're definitely Chiefs fans, obviously, jersey wise. But we kind of want to make it a thing. It's kind of just mates talking about football, fantasy football. Um, Definitely want more perspectives. Goal would be to get some people around the country, kind of bring in a person for each team, kind of see where their heads at, what they see in the future, that kind of stuff. We don't just want it to be just talk about Chiefs constantly. I mean, we're going to talk about it a lot, obviously, more than others, but we definitely want to implement talking about the entire NFL and what teams hope for and what they're
Yeah,
looking for future wise. But yeah,
people need an outlet to be able to chat about stuff that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. So um,
yeah.
that's what we're here for, to provide that outlets. But anything you got, Brian, to
Just going
finish this off?
back off what you were saying, bringing on some people, talking about some things. Obviously, I think next episode we're going to talk free agency.
Big
Granted,
moves.
today was Monday, so we only had one day of it. When we come out with the next episode, we'll probably have 3 or 4 more days of
Can't
free
wait.
agency to go through. Um, Definitely going to talk about do some mock drafts for the NFL draft coming up, where we think people are going, whatnot. Definitely provide some fancy information on our opinions. Don't take them as gospel. We're not Matthew Berry.
Mine's bad.
Uh,
Mine are bad.
we're not Fields. We're not these big name Sports Center guys that we're just going to give our opinions on it. we'll do a couple mock drafts, 12 team, 10 team, PPR, non PPR when it gets closer to that time to start doing that. But
Yeah.
all around, just football wise, we're going to be talking about everything you could think of, I guess.
Yeah, catch us at Boy on the Beard on Twitter and YouTube. Um, that's it. Signing off. Anything else, Brian?
That's good, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the night.
All right. Take it easy, guys.